Now, what if season 3?
The slog that was What If season 3.
I have never struggled to get through 8 episodes of sub 30-minute TV as much as I did with What If season 3.
Yeah. I mean, coming like from me who binges shows in like multiple seasons in a week, it took me several days to watch 8 episodes. Like, I don't know what I like. It's so weird because the first 2 seasons, though we've not like loved them, there's been episodes we've actually quite enjoyed, and for the most part, we've somewhat enjoyed what the seasons were. I don't know why this season just felt different. Like even the episodes just I don't know if it's well, one thought I've had is was this written during all the writing strike stuff? And has it been hurt from that? Also,
Maybe.
they were trying to wrap up this arc of a story, so they seem to care less about the individual what if scenarios. It felt
Yeah, there was a weird energy about the whole show. I don't think the animation looked as good as it did in previous seasons.
yeah. I've also whether it doesn't look as good, don't know. More so, I think I'm just don't actually enjoy that animation visual style, and I'm now bored of it after a third season.
Yeah, it bearing in mind like some of the incredibly creative styles we've seen more recently, it just feels incredibly flat and like them horrible mid 2000s when there was just a million CGI animation kids films coming out because it was relatively affordable to do that now. And
Yeah, this it looks cheap in the terms of we know like X-Men 97 quality like that is going to cost more. So then you look at this and you go, okay, you've put like a cell shaded render shading on
but
3D.
also it's the obsession with I know it's like referred to as like MCU synergy. Why do we
Mm,
need Agatha and Congo looking like their MCU counterparts?
I get you.
Why do we need Kate Bishop and Shang-Chi? These are just characters that are going to be important in the MCU in the next few years, and they want to keep them fresh in people's minds. And instead, all it's done is made me sit there and go, Shang-Chi actually as good as I remember, or was it kind of dull? Like that should not. I should not be leaving like an anthology series about these characters going, am I misremembering, or was that more fun before? I should be going, oh, it was so cool to see Shang-Chi again. I should go watch Shang-Chi.
See that I think that's where I'm like I think it's the writing because I like the two things I enjoyed the most from this season. Well, there's three things. One was the only thing in episode one, and this is me purely being biased, mechs. But then I'm also like kind of weak effort on mechs, but I am biased to anything that is mech formed. So
That episode was ass.
other than that, yeah, it was literally, oh, what if we just do Godzilla, Pacific Rim, Power Rangers all blended into one? The only cool mech thing was Shang-Chi's mech robot actually having giant rings.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's cool little detail. All the others felt very bland mechs, but I'm just biased to mechs. The only other episode was the Wild West one because it was a different visual, like time. Like it was the only one that I felt stood out as like, oh, this is something different, as in like a what if scenario, because it's like them in a Wild West scenario.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly can't say I particularly enjoyed any of them. I felt like it was all let's get this episode out there so that we can then wrap it up with the 2 episodes at the end. And it's just I don't know, it feels so wasted knowing what if
What
should be exists in Star Wars visions just makes me more angry at the
I
entire
think
idea.
that's the tough thing is like us knowing this is them ending it, we were just waiting for the like, okay, how are you gonna wrap up this tied in story arc? And then like when they did that second to last one, you're like, oh, they've okay, so Birdie, which is a brand new character, they've set up purely to then just use in this with their other brand new character that they made for What If,
Is
alongside.
Birdie brand new?
Yeah, I looked it
Oh, I
up.
didn't realise that.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
Birdie the Duck is brand new,
Yeah, that's kind of weird then.
but it's like I don't know. It's just I'm not against them coming up with new like the new characters because look at last season we got Kiora. What I forget what she's called.
Kahori.
Yeah,
New characters are absolutely brilliant. Love them.
the
But
weird.
actually make
Well,
it worth it.
the issue was the birdie we got was just it was an egg, and then suddenly we get this. Oh, it's like baby by the end. It's like then suddenly we get a completely different timelines version that's older because I presume it's not the same one. And
I
it's
would
like,
also assume that, but I don't know.
but it's like, oh, so that episode was purely to give us context to who this person is that's on this roster.
Exactly.
Stormer's Fall was cool.
But does
But
it
there was
not
no
just feel like,
context to that.
yeah, does it not just feel like there's just no thought about the concept at all? It's just like, what if, like the Wild West was like, what if 1872 or whatever? It's like, really? And that's the best you can do? Like, that's all you've got? Literally, go pick up a What If comic.
Well, yeah.
Like the one that I will always say is like something that's not that ridiculously difficult to pull off is the what if Spider-Man became the Punisher? And the entire idea is on the night of Ben getting murdered, he handles it slightly differently, and that sends him down a more violent Spider-Man route where he's okay with killing people.
Hmm.
Like that, there's something compelling about that because it is a small change that fundamentally changes a character and allows things to play out differently. But instead, they're just like, oh, this is just a different time altogether. Or what if this character was actually this character? And it's not in any interesting way. Like, the closest we got to, like, an interesting, unique idea was, like, T'Challa or Star-Lord. Because they said, oh, they kidnapped him by accident, and then the repercussions of T'Challa, a very different person to Peter Quill, being Star-Lord, resulted in Thanos changing his mind on things and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they've just given up on like the showing any kind of why this universe is different because of what happened.
Yeah, it's well this is the thing, they knowing this was the last one, the few things they gave us were either like you said at the beginning, making us remember characters they haven't used in a while, like the Eternals and Agatha blend of that.
Mm-hmm.
We get a brand new character set up in an episode of Birdie, just so they can use them later. We got the Wild West episode, but then I'm like, did that even mean anything to the final, like, overarching story? I don't feel like it did.
Particularly.
It's just, yeah, I think overall, and we've said this so many times, it's like we keep saying it, but like they've just missed the mark with what if could have been.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
And I don't know. I'm trying to remember if Visions had come out by this point.
I think Visions was after season 1.
I feel like it was. And obviously, we don't. At that point, you presume, yes, certain people in Disney will know, but the people that were making What If won't know probably that Visions was in the works.
Vision came out a month after What If.
And it's almost like they probably saw that and were like, that would have been really cool to maybe if we'd done that for What If.
Yeah.
Like, I think the unfortunate thing is, if we didn't have Star Wars Visions, we would have just been like, they just need to kind of go back and lean into the ones like we were saying, where it's like, what if so-and-so was slightly different? But because we have the context of Star Wars Visions, we're like, that is perfect for what they could do.
Yeah.
And hopefully this is them gonna go reboot it as a fresh angle. But
just thinking back to like season 1, yeah.
yeah,
So with the what if scenarios in that is exactly what we're talking about. It's slight differences, and they explain what happens, and then they explain how it ends up where we are. So with the T'Challa one, with the Peggy Carter one, with the Killmonger becoming like Iron Man fucking one or whatever it was, where he
yeah.
is out in Afghanistan, he accidentally saves Tony, and that's how they become friends. Blah 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 blah. They explained how that is happening before they move on. Whereas, like with the Old West, it's just like we are in the Old West. They don't explain why Shang-Chi and Kate know each other because they don't feel they need to because it's the Old West. Who's questioning it?
Yeah.
Like Agatha becoming a movie star. Why did she become a movie star? You're not giving me any
Do you know which
reason
one
that
they
her
did give us
decisions...
context? When the duck, Howard the Duck and whatever hooked up, they're like, oh, it's when Thor threw his Christmas party thing, and that's how they met. And then and then they set it up for that, but that's because they needed the character set up better.
Exactly, but this is just a case of, once again, a what if story is supposed to be like an anthology self-contained, and they're like, remember that other episode? It's like, what? Why does it need to be a follow-on from another one? Well, you could find a whole new fun way of how they met each other. It feels like they knew that it was ending. Like you said, they worked hard on them last 2 episodes, which I don't think were particularly good anyway. And
I mean,
the
the
rest
fight was cool. I think the fight was cool. I think that's the only time the animation I was like, this is kind of cool. Like the visual effects and stuff for that.
It was, but we've already kind of seen it, if that makes sense. Like, they did the same kind of massive fight at the end of season 1, which was also dumb. Because why do they need to all link in together?
Well, yeah, we've said this before.
Yeah,
there was a little bit of copium right at the end when he's doing this little monologue of all these different worlds, and I was like, they're gonna psych us out and actually gonna go a new title for the future. And I was like, he's gonna work like say like visions, or like he's gonna drop a word that is the new title for a new series. But no, he just led up to the question of what if. It's a shame. On paper, the concept at the beginning seemed really good. Season 1 was semi-decent with some fun episodes, but then it just lost their overall plan that we didn't know at the time wasn't great. And I think this season has to have been either had budget cuts on the animation or hurt by the writing strikes, because it just did not feel anywhere near to the other 2 seasons.
The steady decline from the beginning of season 1 down to this has hit a valley that makes it very clear how far we've fallen.
Also doesn't help the fact we have had X-Men 97 since the last season. So we're like, oh, we know how good your animation stuff can be. But this is what you give us, so...